just unmute yourself. That's possible. Also, the chat box is available for any comments or questions as we go along. So a very warm welcome to everybody. Thank you for coming. Thanks for coming to this special Zoom event. And we're still getting the hang of some of the technology, so I hope it'll all work well. My good friend John Kirby here is organising and managing the technology side of things, so he'll be popping up from time to time. Thank you, John, for that. The first item is to confirm the minutes of the last year's meeting, 2020 annual general meeting. Hopefully members received this by email recently, and we have a voting set up so that shortly there will appear on your screens a question asking you whether you approve the minutes, and just to say yes, no, or to abstain. I'll be grateful if you could just click on the appropriate button so we can approve the minutes from last year. So, John, could you stick up the vote? Thank you.
15, 16, 17, there's 21 people eligible, so 18 voted. We have 5 abstentions.
Has everybody had a chance to vote? Yeah. Thank you. Still voting, okay. Just give you another little bit of time.
That's it. That's everybody now. Oh no, they're still coming in.
Okay, so the results should be up there. So I think we can take it that we can approve the minutes, which is good. I don't know if anyone has any matters arising they want to comment on. If so, please unmute yourself or put something in the chat box and we'll pick it up. Okay, we'll move on. I'll just give a short report for the year, and then Andy will give a treasurer's report, and then we'll move on to electing ourselves officers and committee members for next year. Okay, so this is the second year that we've been doing our AGM on Zoom. Last year I didn't think we'd be here again, but here we are. So and we're grateful for the technology that allows us to do this. In fact, it's allowed us to have speakers from Zambia and from Dublin today, and also visitors and members from overseas, Zambia, and I think America too. So we can at least take advantage of the technology to expand in that way. But we do miss our traditional face-to-face meetings at the High Commission, and we hope that we can resume those next year. We do value very highly our relationship with the High Commission over many, many years, and we're grateful for the encouragement and support that we receive from the High Commissioner, His Excellency Lieutenant General Paul Mihova, from the Deputy High Commissioner, Mrs. Patricia Chanda, and from all the High Commissioner staff, always very helpful to us. So we thank you for that. At the start of the COVID crisis, we were concerned that fundraising activities would suffer and be severely reduced. But as last year, I'm delighted to say that we've been able to maintain the level of funding to all of the projects. And that's due to the faithful support of you, the members, and to generous additional donations that we received, and also to pressing on with fundraising activities. I'm very pleased that we've been able to produce another excellent calendar for 2022. So thanks, Peter, for that. This not only raises funds, but also gives us excellent publicity, raises our profile. The calendar's been selling very well. A few are still available to purchase on the website. So don't delay, they make an excellent Christmas present. The pandemic has obviously had a serious effect in Zambia as well, including school closures, job losses, and so on. And so we're hoping that we'll be able to increase our support in future years for the health and welfare of needy and vulnerable children, and to enable many of these needy children to attend school, and also to help needy young people to continue their education at college and university level. The lengthy closures of schools and colleges have created many problems, not as here. Of course, they don't have Zoom in Zambia in the same way. But in Zambia, sometimes children, especially girls, don't return to school after long breaks when they reopen. And many children rely on school lunches for their main meal. So they've been especially harmed. It's been a great harm to them. But thankfully, schools are open again now. Details of all the projects that we support are in the annual report and accounts, which is available on the website. And thanks, Andy, for putting all that together so well. And I'd like to thank every member of the committee for their dedication and commitment to maintaining the highest standards of governance for the Trust, and for all the practical tasks that are involved in maintaining the Trust's activities. I'd also like to thank the committee in Zambia, the Zambian Society Trust with an N. They enable us to closely keep in touch with all of the projects over there. And we now have a very strong team in Zambia, including Matthias Mbewe, Whitson Chenge, Bernard Usale, and David Powell, who's moved over there full time. They're able to give practical advice and to help project leaders whenever required, and they're available for practical help. And every project that we support has a nominated person who keeps closely in touch with it and with the leaders. We continue to send out monthly bulletins with snippets of news from Zambia, thanks to Roger and Sheila. And we also send regular updates on the Trust activities and on the projects. Thank you, Anne, for that. Sadly, Ben Ness is standing down from the committee this year, as he's taken on lots of other commitments. We valued his contribution, and that's included organising excellent African Open Days on his farm. And they may continue in the future. On the 17th of June this year, we heard of the death of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, the first president of Zambia. He very kindly sent us a video message on the occasion of our 50th anniversary in 2018. He was greatly respected in Zambia, of course, and in Africa and worldwide. And one obituary quoted, he was a great human being and a constant lighthouse to the people of Zambia and beyond. In August, President Hakainde Hichilema became Zambia's 7th president. And we send our very best wishes to him and the new government. The global crisis of COVID has highlighted the importance of providing effective healthcare for everybody. And our speakers at this year's AGM later this afternoon will describe 2 very successful and innovative projects that are helping to bring high quality healthcare to some of the most remote parts of Zambia. That's the medical licentiate program and FlySpec, Flying Doctor Service. So we'll hear speakers from those organisations later this afternoon. So thank you all again for your support for the Trust. As you know, we trustees are all volunteers, so we can make the best possible use of all the funding that we receive. Now, Andy will bring us the John has just been, oh no, we'll vote for members in a minute. Andy will bring us the Treasurer's report first.
Please.
You're on mute, Andy.
How's that? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good, thank you, Ken. Can we have a slide up, please, for this one? Right. The financial result for the year, we have an overall income of 42,000, and after deducting admin expenditure of £3,700 and charitable expenditure of £39,000, we made a small surplus of £136. So basically, we broke even. But we started the financial year in a very strong position cash-wise, and we've finished the year at the year end in a strong position as well. We've now ended up at 30th of June with £52,000 of cash, which is very good given the circumstances we've been operating through the COVID pandemic. But I would just highlight a few things on that slide there in front of you. Subscription income shows £10,000, which is a slight increase on previous years, which is good. Membership is holding and slightly increasing. I think this is in part due to the online payment platform that we've now put in place. So that is pleasing to see, because a few years ago, there was a concern that our membership was in decline, but that's now come back and is beginning to grow, which is good news. The donations of £13,000 to our general funds, which are unrestricted, included 4 donations in the £1,000 to £5,000 category, but we continue to have a great number of people donating sums to us, and I think in total we've had about 50 odd donations this year, which is still very good. The ZST merchandise shows an income of £2,800. Of this, £2,700 came from the calendar. And if you look towards the bottom of the screen, you'll see under our admin expenditure, £1,212 of ZST merchandise expenditure. That's the cost of the calendar and the postage. So bottom line, the calendar donated, created a net profit of £1,600 or thereabouts. But as John mentioned, the big plus point is that we get a lot of donations on the back of this calendar. It seems to remind people that we're around in the sort of January and December time, and that prompts a donation. So it's a good marketing product for us, as well as a good product in its own right. So that's pleasing. The Harrogate Golf Day is created £3,000 this year. That will unfortunately be our last golf day, because I no longer live in Yorkshire and Harrogate, and so we will not be having that calendar. We've not had that golf day this year, and it won't continue. But we are going to try and find alternative sources of fundraising to try and compensate. Moving down the line on income, the other thing I would highlight is an education fund. We received £7,000. That comes in. That was 2 donations from the Ernest Cassell Trust and the British Council of Africa, who are being long-term supporters of our work on education, which is good news. So pleasingly, our donations, which were quite a lot lower than last year, our income is still holding up at 40,000 pounds, which is really good news. Looking at the expenditure, the £20,000 that went to the education fund to support the students that Ken's been talking about. The 15,000 of orphan projects, that was £3,000 went to Kateti, £3,000 went to the St Lawrence Home of Hope. We spent £3,000 for the Mpundi mission, and we gave £6,000 to Kwashmakweno. So that was a 15,000. On top of that, we continue to support the Aptus project and the growing communities. The pleasing thing is that we've been able to maintain that level of expenditure, especially education fund, because at one time last year we were contemplating having to scale back our funding because of the COVID, but that's not materialised. So the good news is we are continuing to maintain our level of expenditure, and this year we know we'll be able to increase that level going forward. So that is good news. It shows the strength of the support that we've got for the work we do. So that's pleasing. On the administration expenses, I mentioned that £1,200 was ZST merchandise was a calendar, and we have spent £800 on newsletters and annual reports. That does fluctuate a bit depending on the timing of the invoices we receive, but it's still under control. And the overall management expenditure represents about 34% of our subscription income. So every donation we receive, pound for pound, gets spent on our charitable projects pound for pound, which is good news. So we finished the year, as I say, with a break even £136, and we've got cash on deposit of £52,000 and in a NatWest bank account. Plus, we've got the investments of I think it's 90-odd thousand pounds. So we can turn to next slide 2, please. There you can see we've got at end of June we were sitting on £52,000 of cash, which we've already allocated that money, and that money will be transferred to the charity, to the projects in the next between now and December. And then investments, we have 92,000. We use the income of those investments to support the work we do. So that's really as much as I want to say, John, and in the sense of the numbers. I'd just like to add a few things. The annual report will be online from over the weekend or early next week when Peter can put it on the website for us. And I would just like to thank Sylvanus Chinganga for his continuing use, independent review of the accounts as an independent examiner. And I'd like to thank Janet Lucas for continued work in assisting me with the bookkeeping and the gift aid. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Andy. That's great. Thank you. I'd like to propose that we accept that report, and Eileen, I think you've agreed to second, so we can put that down as accepted, I hope.
Unless there's any questions.
And yeah, if anyone has any questions, please unmute yourself or put something in the chat box. No. Okay, no, right. Thanks, Andy. Great. We'll move on to electing officers and committee members for next year. The officers are standing again. Myself, Ken as vice chairman, Andy as treasurer, and Jenny as secretary. We'll be putting up a voting form again for members. If you could kindly vote if you would like us to continue next year. Okay. Well, thank you very much. We'll press on. Thank you for your support. Just one more vote. This is for the committee for next year. There's a list of elected members that on the sheet we sent out. Ben Van Ness has decided to step down this year. He's taken on a lot of other commitments, so he won't be standing. Otherwise, everybody else will be standing again. So if you'd like us to continue or like them to continue, please vote accordingly. All right, that's good. Thank you. That's great. Well, thankfully, the committee is prepared to press on next year, and we look forward to another good year, I hope. Right, I think that's the formal voting for the committee and for the officers. The next formal thing is to elect an independent examiner. Andy, could you just say something about that?
Yes, Sylvanus has been our independent examiner for the last few years, and he's expressed his willingness to continue. And I would like to propose him to be reappointed.
Yeah, well, I would certainly second that. So we'll invite him to help us out next year as well. Thank you. And we ought to record our thanks to him, as you did, for checking our accounts.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Nothing has been submitted for discussion, and I don't have any items for any other business. So I think we could say the formal part of the meeting is closed, and we can move on to the talks. Okay, so we'll close the formal side of the meeting. Now, this afternoon, we have 4 speakers, and I'm delighted that we've been able to cover this very important topic of healthcare in rural Zambia. And Zambia has, because of its widely dispersed population, its vast size, there are special problems, of course, in providing healthcare across the country. And so there are 2 very innovative, I think, and successful initiatives that we're going to cover this afternoon. The first is medical licentiates. My predecessor as chairman here, Dr. James Cairns, was very much involved in the very early days of setting up the medical licentiate program. And it's grown very rapidly, and we'll be hearing about that from Dr. Petros Andriadis. Petros is a technical advisor and project manager for